Right, everyone, I am joined by heavyweight champion Joseph Parker. Thanks for coming on, mate. This is a big deal for me. Been a long time since we spoke. You're in Vegas, I take it.
Yeah, I think the last time we spoke was about 1.5 2 years ago. I remember clearly, but it's been a while since then. And at the moment, you're currently in Vegas for training camp. I think we're here for another 1.5 weeks, and then we return back to New Zealand 2 weeks from the fight. So making the most of our time here.
Yeah, and I see you're sporting a very nice beard these days.
It was pretty cold here when I first came in the beginning of the year, so I wanted to sort of grow it out and keep my face warm, but now it's getting a bit warm, so it'll come off in New Zealand.
So how long have you been in Vegas now?
I've actually been here for about 10, 11 weeks. I first came at the end of January when the fight was scheduled to happen the 1st of April. And then just with negotiations, the fight got pushed out. So I had to stay here for longer. But I guess it's things happen for a reason, and I think I'm in better shape now.
So what I was trying to get at is, like, do you live in Vegas pretty much full time, or do you just train there and go back to New Zealand in between, or?
Yeah, I actually, most of the year I spend here because I'm always in training camp, and I only get to go back to New Zealand for the fights or see family and friends, but most of the time I'm here. So it's pretty much my home since the last 4 years.
Well, obviously you got a big fight coming up with my compatriot Hughie Fury. I listened to an audio press conference Duco Events sent me, and you sounded a little bit disappointed at the time that it'd gone to purse bids. And you'd sort of cut a holiday short and had to get back to training again. What was sort of going through your mind during that period? You see, it was just from me picking up from what I heard on the press conference.
No, from the press conference, when I was thinking of just having a bit more of a holiday in New Zealand, spend more time with family and friends and my daughter, but got cut short as we were planning on fighting in April. So I came back to camp, and I wanted to actually get back to camp, but even though I wanted a longer holiday, I wanted to come back and get in shape again and get ready for a fight. So even though I missed hanging out with family and friends, I knew what I had to do. So, but I guess, being here, I feel like I'm in great shape, my mind's in the right place. We've been doing everything right, so I'm just looking forward to getting in the ring, and I enjoy myself. All the hard work's been done, so it's time to sort of get in there and have fun.
Yeah, well, we're only about 3 weeks away, 4 weeks.
Yeah, about 3.5. Yeah, 3.5, 4 weeks away. Yeah. So it's just coming by quick.
So for like a young man, you have a big weight on your shoulders. Like, the whole of New Zealand is counting on me. I listen to the commentary, and they're, what's that like? You're quite a bit younger than me, and I'm, I wouldn't call myself old. What's that like? You're sort of put on the same pedestal as the All Blacks. Do you know what I mean? That's sort of how you're so important to boxing in New Zealand. How do you deal with that pressure?
I guess there's only pressure. For me, the way that I look at it, in my opinion, is that there's only pressure if you put it on yourself. And another way that I look at it is if you train hard and work hard and do what you're supposed to do, there will be no pressure. So my focus is just to train as best as I can and to be in the best shape that I can be. Also, I have a great team around me who help keep me grounded, who help keep me focused, who want me to be the best that I can be. So it's important to be mentally strong yourself, but also have a great team. And I guess that's where I'm blessed and fortunate.
And you live with Kevin Barry, don't you, when you're in Vegas?
Yeah, I've lived here with Kevin for 4 years now. So, yeah. I mean, Kevin's a great mentor who's taught me a lot from the beginning of time since we started together. So it's great to have him around and have the guidance and advice that he gives me each and every day.
And you've got Izu Agonu in your sort of camp with you, who's been sort of training with you over the last couple of years, and that from what it sounds like is a very tight-knit team.
Yeah, I'm pretty close with Izu. We've been training together for a long time. So at the moment, Izu's in Poland, spending a lot of time with his family after his last fight. Yeah. And at the moment, I'm training now with a guy named Umar Salamov, who was the IBO champion, but now he's sort of vacated that belt, and now he's looking forward to sort of entering the other the sanctioning bodies.
So in terms of, like, when you first got to Vegas, had you spent much time out in New Zealand? Is all this travelling quite new to you?
As a 16-year-old, I started traveling representing New Zealand as an amateur. So
yeah.
I've been on the road ever since I was 16. You know, Australia, Serbia, India, China, everywhere. So I've thought it was good to experience that. So it made this a lot easier than it would have been if I didn't travel a lot.
Yeah, there's nothing better than educating yourself than traveling and finding out new cultures, is there?
The cultures, just experiencing different places, the weather everywhere. And so for me, traveling around the world, I loved experiencing the cultures and places, but it made me appreciate New Zealand a lot more because New Zealand's a beautiful place.
So let's talk about the last fight with Andy Ruiz. Very close fight. Been a big fan of Andy Ruiz actually over the last few years, and I know you I did an interview with Kevin, and I know you two have sort of sparred each other and stuff before. But I did an interview with Kevin, and he was telling me about some of the issues you had in the camp, which were quite close to home. Your wife or partner gave birth to your child. Congratulations, by the way. And you had to fly back, and you missed the pregnancy. And then your sister was getting married as well. You had to miss that. Like, talk about sacrifice, mate.
Sacrifice too. I mean, Kevin's right there in the camp. It wasn't actually our best camp. Yeah. It was probably one of the worst camps with interruptions. Flying back to New Zealand for 3 days, coming back to Vegas for training, and not being able to get back into sort of the time zone and just acclimatizing. Because it takes, for us in New Zealand, it's easier to acclimatize in New Zealand. When you come back to Vegas, it takes about 2 weeks. So flying back was a big interruption. I missed the birth, missed my mom's 50th, missed my sister's wedding. Mate. So there's a lot of things that I missed out on, and it's sort of I don't know. It was sort of a lot of interruptions, but. And saying that, it was for me, it was positive being able to go into the fight and fight through all of those things that we went through.
Well, it's sort of like when they called the decision and said, the new heavyweight champion of the world, Joseph Parker. Was it just? Did it make it all worth it? It made it all worth it, and everyone back home understands why I missed out, and they're all supportive. But no, like I touched on Andy Ruiz. What a great fighter he is. He's he hits hard, he puts under pressure, and he came prepared, and I have a lot of respect for him. Oh, that's good. You're very, you're sort of like, we've had a lot of fighters that are very outspoken, very sort of brash, and, sort of, they're kind of disrespectful in some manner to the opponents. You're less so. You kind of remind me of Anthony Joshua in that respect, that, you do your fighting in the ring.
Yeah, I think it's important. Back in the day, boxing used to be a gentleman's sport. There's a lot of respect. And then, one of a kind, Muhammad Ali came along and changed it up, and he was the man. He was a champion, and everyone looks up to him. But I think it's very important that we show respect. And when you're in the ring, that's when you have to do the business and do your job. But outside, for example, after each fight, I always try and catch up with my opponent, whoever it is, whether I win or lose. Catch up with them, go for a feed, or just say thanks for the opportunity for the fight. Yeah, and I've done that with a lot of my opponents in the past.
So obviously, when we did an interview 2 years ago, everyone's been talking about you fighting Anthony Joshua, and that's not what I really want to talk about. What I want to talk about is sort of Tyson Fury sort of vacated the belts, and it sort of opened up the whole division, and then you as a team, you're sort of wondering what the hell is going on from 1 minute to the next. There was talk about you coming to England to fight David Price. But it sort of turned out you won your title in New Zealand, and you're making your first defence in New Zealand. Is that how you would have wanted it to work out?
You're right though. With boxing, there were so many plans of us coming to the UK, plans of us fighting this person, fighting that person, and then the opportunity. Tyson Fury changed the division. It sort of died down for a bit, the heavyweight division, and with his victory, man, it changed so much, and he gave us young fighters the opportunity to fight for the title. So, big ups to him for doing that. But with boxing, things change all the time, and I guess I'm grateful that my promoters were able to lock in this opportunity to fight for the WBO World Heavyweight title. And I've achieved one of those goals of fighting for the championship of the world. Tick that off. Now there's bigger goals of defending, unifying. So I guess New Zealand is a nice place to be and fight. I love the place. I get support from New Zealand and Samoa, but I'm looking forward to fighting in the UK after this fight. There's all the heavyweights are there, and that's pretty much the prime place to be for boxing.
So obviously, you're fighting the British fighter Hughie Fury. that's going to sort of enhance your profile in the UK. Once you fight Hughie Fury. In a perfect world, I'm sort of a bit of a fantasy time here. Say you beat Hughie Fury. I know you're focused on Hughie Fury, and any consummate professional would be. But is that Klitschko's fighting Joshua at Wembley Stadium? Is that sort of everyone's been talking about you and Anthony Joshua before either of you were world champions. Is that must still be in the back of your mind, sort of that fight with Anthony?
It is, like you say, if all goes well with Hughie Fury, who's going to be a tough competitor come May 6th, it's thinking ahead, it's so exciting, the opportunities that, I want to fight the best in the world. And the reason I want to do that because back in the day you had the best fight the best, and they fought twice, 3 times, and I guess it's important to see who the best out there is. So a champion should be fighting another champion and seeing who comes out on top. And I know I would love to fight anyone in the top, but firstly, just get past Hughie first, who's going to come. So he's a young, hungry fighter who's got a great team behind him. I think I got asked yesterday or today, do you think it's too early for him to fight you? Because he doesn't have the same opponents under him with Carlos Takam, Andy Ruiz, and those sorts of opponents. But I said, it doesn't matter who he's got behind him. He's got this great team, and some fighters don't need to fight other fighters. Some fighters step up to the occasion. So I guess we look at Tyson Fury. He had Peter's guidance, and everyone doubted him. No one even gave him a chance, and all of a sudden he came in and beat Klitschko, who's been dominating for years. So you can never underestimate anyone, and you always have to be as best prepared as you can be. Yeah,
I made a very healthy profit off Tyson Fury beating Klitschko.
You did?
I made a good bit of money off that. So what do you make of Hughie Fury? If you weren't fighting him as a fan, what do you like about Hughie?
What I like about him is the movement that he has. For a tall fighter, he uses the ring really well, and he's long. He uses his reach, and he looks like from what I've seen, he looks quite smart in using the ring. And I guess it comes down to what he's been guided with. Guided from the advice from his dad, and just I think he's got a great amateur pedigree. He's been a great. He's achieved a lot in the amateurs. So with that. Saying that he's had a lot of experience before he even turned professional, so he's got a lot of experience and good movement, which I like what I see.
So in terms of what's the atmosphere like in New Zealand at the moment as we're gearing up to your first defence? Is it obviously you're not there at the moment, you're in Las Vegas, so what sort of messages are you getting from home about your first defence? It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, and it's good for New Zealand to have this fight because it's pretty much, I think it'll be our last fight there for a while.
Yeah.
And I think everyone is making the most of, coming to support the fight because it might be our last one. And so the message I get is, train hard and defend that bout well because, we want you to keep it here. So I got a big challenge in front of me, but I'm doing all I can here in Vegas to prepare as best I can.
Of course, mate, of course. And while you're here, can I get a prediction off you for Klitschko Joshua? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, it's a hard one because you have the experienced Klitschko who's been in the game for a long time. Hasn't been knocked out or even he got beaten for Fury, but he's got this defensive style. And then you got Joshua, the hungry young lion who comes in and tries knocks people out, and he's puts on the pressure. So. It's hard, but I'm just leaning a little bit towards Joshua's way. But you never know. You never know with boxing. Any one punch can change anything with any fighter.
Especially heavyweight boxing.
Especially.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of it'd be interesting to find out what fighters have inspired you to get to this point of your career. Is there any?
Well, I used to watch a lot of Roy Jones in his prime.
Yeah.
And the reason why I watched him was just the speed, accuracy, movement. But the fighter that I sort of really love is Lennox Lewis. And the reason I said it because he used his height really well, his reach. And the guys that did beat him, he went back and beat them. I think there was 2 of them, Ruckman and who was the other one? There was another guy that beat him, and he came back and beat them. But he also retired the champ, and he... a lot of fighters, when they retire, they always come back for the money. Whereas, he retired, he finished out on top, he was a champion. And then, I think he's been very smart with how he's dealt with his money and things. So that's a great example of how fighters should be at the end of their career.
Very interesting. Good to find out sort of like what inspires a fighter. Finally, mate, I just want to ask. There was some news that came back to the UK that Peter Fury wasn't going to be allowed a visa to come into New Zealand, and then 2 days later they said it was okay. You and Duco. I was talking to Kevin Barry, and Duco don't seem to make it harder for the away fighter. Is that sort of important to you? Like you talk about, a gentleman's sport. Did you want like the whole team? Did you want like a necessary, an unnecessary advantage in this fight? Do you want it as fair as possible, basically?
I want the best Hughie Fury there is. So we did. There's a lot of things that happened in the background which we did to help support Peter Fury to come to New Zealand. So
good on you.
To come to New Zealand. We want him to come to New Zealand to be with his son, to train him, because, this is a big event, this is a world championship fight. He's been with his son throughout his whole career.
Yeah.
He should be there at the most important fight. And like I said, I want the best Hughie Fury to be there because he'll bring out the best in me. And just the best person is going to win. So we want him to be at his best. I want him to be at my best so we can put on a great performance for everyone that's watching.
Yeah, well, mate, I'm really looking forward to the fight. It's a big night of boxing, actually. We got... we
got our fight, then we got May 6th. We got is it Canelo and
Chavez.
So there's a lot of fights around that time, which is exciting. We're going to have our fight and see what happens, and we're going to watch the other fights. So I'm a big fan of our other fighters. I'll be definitely tuning in.
Oh, there is one more question I wanted to ask you actually. In terms of the real buzz you've created around boxing in New Zealand and the South Pacific. Have you noticed that personally? Have you had kids sort of say like, well, you've really inspired to me. I've been saving up to buy a pair of gloves and things like that. Has that sort of happened?
Oh, definitely. There's been a lot of, which is, I'm in a great position, and I'm humbled when I ever get those messages saying, hey, you inspire me to work hard and train hard and box. I want to be a champion like you one day. And I try my best to reply to these young kids and sort of get them motivated. And it's great to see. And also in the South Pacific, there's a lot of talent. So I think one of my goals is to try and spot these talents and help them through what I went through and see if we can sort of produce more champions in the South Pacific.
Well, New Zealand's you're the best at rugby. Like for such a small amount of people, the conveyor belt of talent you have in rugby, and you've got some big boys down there, some big kids who can sort of go on and emulate what you do. It kind of boxing should kind of start coming quite naturally to some of these New Zealanders and Kiwis.
I guess it just comes down to the support. There wasn't a lot of funding in the amateurs, but I guess if we all get together, the people that are doing well, and support these kids and give them the guidance and give them just the funding they need, we can produce more champions. So it's just about supporting them, giving them the opportunity, and helping them through.
I've said finally about 3 times. One more question. So you're being sort of helped by Top Rank and Bob Arum now, since recently?
Yeah, Duco events are my promoters, but I think when I do fight, when it comes to time we fight in America, we've signed with Top Rank, so we, I think, co-promote, so it's great. Bob Arum's been in the game for a long time, and just to be with the team gives me a lot of confidence that he believes in what we can do. So it just comes down to training hard, keep winning, keep stay focused, and then we have a great team behind us, so it's up to me to do my job.
Well, brilliant, mate. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to the heavyweight champion of the world. It's good good to hear you're in a good place. When Kevin was telling me the horror stories after because no one knew about it. It wasn't publicised or anything. You didn't go on about it. You didn't even bring it up after the fight. So good on you, man. You're actually
no worries. And I'm in a good place, and I feel like the camp's going great, and I'm in a good place. I'm looking forward to the fight. It's going to be a tough fight, but the best man's got to win, and whoever wants it more will win on the day. So we'll just see how it goes. But if you need any more, if you want to get in contact with us, feel free just to give us a message and just give us a buzz. And it's good to talk to you again, because I think it's been 2 years since we spoke.
Yeah, I know, mate. It's been you've come a long way since we spoke. You've done it, mate. So brilliant. Well,